Good morning, Knicks Nation. Today is Thursday. It is the 5th day of May 2022. I hope this 5th day of May finds you and your family healthy and safe today. Blessings upon those that work in the healthcare field, along with the first responders whose job every day is to save human lives. Blessings upon those that pick up garbage for us, to keep streets and sidewalks and parks clean, and those that make deliveries for our convenience. Double blessings on the men and women trying to rescue, deliver, and help the victims of child molestation, which goes on rampantly in the United States, and pedophilia, along with the victims of prostitution and child prostitution, the victims of pornography and the disgusting child pornography, the victims of human trafficking and sex slavery, and double curses upon the perpetrators, perverts, and profiteers who traffic in this human misery for money and disgusting pleasure. Finally, blessings upon the homeless. Nearly 600,000 men, women, and especially children on the streets of the United States today, and millions upon millions around the world in similar or worse conditions. Blessings upon them, for theirs is the kingdom. Two topics today: the Jalen Brunson situation, and along with the Jalen Brunson situation, we're also talking about the possible free agents that are available to the New York Knicks and Jeremy Sohan. So first on Brunson, I've seen some let's educate. I guess that's what I'm trying to do. Let's educate. Let me educate some people. I'm learning and I'm also educating. So let's educate. Chris Paul is called point guard for a reason. He is one of the most complete, professional, and talented point guards to ever grace an NBA court. And I've seen people saying, I don't want Jalen Brunson. He didn't do well against Chris Paul. Seriously? Did you really expect Jalen Brunson to be Chris Paul? I mean, they call him point guard because guys like him don't come around but maybe once every 10 years. So why would you expect Jalen Brunson to match up with Chris Paul? Nobody can. Or very few. So I don't think that's a criteria to decide whether or not we should sign Jalen Brunson. Okay? But I think it might be moot anyway, because an article apparently came out yesterday where some cat from The Athletic was claiming that, according to his sources, Dallas is keeping Jalen Brunson and Jalen Brunson's going to stay in Dallas. I can understand that. I mean, they're going to pay him. And what the logic that was used from what I saw made sense. And this is what I do. If they give you a logical explanation, it makes sense. In other words, can the Dallas Mavericks replace Jalen Brunson with some player on the open market? That's the question, right? So you have a number of players that are going to be expiring next year. You have a number of players that are free agents this year. And so the question is, can you replace Jalen Brunson with somebody in similar cost or less on the open market? Somebody that knows your system, knows your coaching staff, can play with your guys, especially Luka Doncic, obviously. And that would be a big risk for Dallas, to allow Jalen Brunson to leave and try to replace him. So in other words, like if you took Tyus Jones and you put him next to Luka Doncic, he might do all right. He might, but you'd be taking a risk with Tyus Jones, who's a career backup, versus now a Jalen Brunson who has established himself as a starter. And so that is not something they probably want to do. So they probably want to keep Jalen Brunson in order for the continuity to continue between him and Luka Doncic, right? So the likelihood is probably more than 75% that he stays in Dallas. Okay. And that would also, of course, depend on what they're offering him. Now, they offered him $55.6 million at the All-Star break, which he declined because they did not offer him that last summer when they had the chance, and he would have signed last summer. But now the price has gone up, and apparently, of course, Dallas is aware of that, and Mark Cuban knows that, so he's going to pay Jalen Brunson to stay in Dallas. So I think the Jalen Brunson dream is dead. I think the Jalen Brunson dream is dead. Which now leads us to, okay, what alternatives do we have for Jalen Brunson? Now, what are we looking for? This is what we have to understand. What are we looking for in a point guard? Well, obviously, we would love to have a Chris Paul, but that's not going to happen. We would love to have a Kyle Lowry or a Fred VanVleet. That's not happening. Okay, so let's get those people off the table. We also know that we have two guards that we drafted, young kids that we could develop also as point guards in Emmanuel Quickley and Deuce McBride. We have that. We also have Roku Jokovitis, who is now playing in the Spanish League, and he could also come over and be developed. So we have some young prospects, put it that way. We have some solid young prospects at the point guard position. But what are we looking for? Are we in rebuild mode or win now mode? Are we looking for a point guard that we can put in there for the next 10 years or maybe a stopgap for 3 or 4 years? What do we want? See, people that play NBA 2K and people that just don't know the game, they just throw names out there. Maybe the numbers fit and we just throw names out there. No. Does that person fit on your team? So, for example, D'Angelo Russell. People mention D'Angelo Russell because he is expiring. He's expiring. But does he fit? D'Angelo Russell was having problems with the coaching staff in Minnesota to the point where they benched him. Do you want that in New York? Do you understand that that's happening? Do you think if he's having problems in Minnesota, he won't have problems in Madison Square Garden? I don't know. And that's the problem for $31 million. I don't know. People say, yeah, trade him for Julius. This ain't NBA 2K. You got to look at the player. He's having problems. He's had arguments, issues with his coaching staff. He didn't like how he was being handled. Do you want that? I don't. The last thing we need is another Julius Randle style attitude. See, that's what I mean. So what's out there? Well, this particular summer, John Wall, James Harden, Russell Westbrook, Bradley Beal, Kyrie Irving are all free agents. Forget all of that. Zach LaVine is not a point guard. He's a 2 guard, right? So we're not talking about him. We talked about Tyus Jones. He's a backup. We got 3 young guys. We don't need another backup. Okay? No. What else? Dennis Schroeder? No. Avery Bradley? No. Colin Sexton. Colin Sexton is interesting, as I've mentioned before. He's a point guard, but he's really a shooting attack guard in a point guard's body. But the reports I've been reading indicate he really wants to stay in Cleveland. Now, if he really wants to stay in Cleveland, of course, he will understand that now the ball is Darius Garland's, which means he is coming off the bench. That is Colin Sexton. If he's willing to accept that, forget it. He's going to stay in Cleveland. I would take him as a backup to Darius Garland. My attack dog coming off the bench. So I don't think that's going to be a real option for the Knicks. So you have a number of players that are, I guess what I'm trying to say is the point guard crop for the New York Knicks this summer is thin. It's thin. And those of you that are still in the let's draft Ty Washington camp, please stop. Please stop. Stop it. He's not as good as any of the 3 young guys we have. He's not. And why would we start over? And what makes you think that Tom Thibodeau's going to give him any minutes at all? Stop it. Let's get real here. So 2023, Fred VanVleet becomes a possible free agent. He has a player option. He's 28. Eric Bledsoe. Eric Bledsoe's finished. He's 34 years old. Maybe we get him, for the expiring deal if we're going to play the kids. To move Julius to Portland. We need more from Portland than Eric Bledsoe, though. I mean, as bad as I want to move Julius Randle, you got to give me some draft capital. You got to give me something. Eric Bledsoe alone ain't moving the needle. Then you got, Karis LeVert, but he's a shooting guard. He's not a point guard. There's a number of guys out here that are shooting guards, not point guards. We need a point guard, right? So it looks to me, I don't know what they're going to do, but it looks to me that really the emphasis should be on the guys we have. Emmanuel Quickley, Deuce McBride, and Roku Jokovitis. Now, I don't think Quickley is going to play Summer League this year. This is going to be his third season. Generally, third-year guys don't play Summer League unless they just haven't played before. It's a rare thing. But Deuce and Roku, along with Grimes and Jericho, you should see all of them in the Summer League. And depending, I think, on how they perform, especially Deuce, because this is his second year, if you see a growth in the production. Last summer, he turned out Summer League. Deuce played really well in Summer League last year. If he continues that this year, along with having a year of Thibodeau under his belt, Thibodeau knowing him, pushing for him, I think you could expect to see more of a look at Deuce McBride this coming season. I don't see anything else out here. There's Victor Oladipo, but we're not paying Victor Oladipo any serious money, coming off of all of these surgeries. And he's also not a point guard. Okay, so I don't know which way the Knicks are going to go. If they go free agent, I'm not sure who they're going to get of all of these guys that are point guards that might be available. I don't see anybody out here that moves the needle like that. Cole Anthony, I don't know. Markelle Fultz, no. See, you're looking for stability at the point guard spot. You're looking for stability as well as performance. So let's look at Markelle Fultz, for example. Markelle Fultz was drafted by the Philadelphia 76ers, number 1 overall. He had some issues with apparently his back or his shoulder that caused him not to be able to shoot the ball. It was a mystery. Nobody knew what it was, but it was obviously affecting him and affecting his mind to the point where Philly traded him to Orlando. He started to play very well for Orlando, and then he got an ACL injury. And he sat for a whole season and a half, behind that. And so then he started to come back, but now they drafted, who did they draft? They drafted Suggs. They drafted Jalen Suggs. They had Cole Anthony, and now it's a little crowded. They traded for Gary Harris, and it was a little crowded. So Markelle Fultz really hasn't gotten his NBA footing. And Orlando did extend him. They gave him a nice extension. They did. They gave him a nice extension. I think it's like a $50 million extension they gave him right before he hurt his knee. So I would not say he's the stablest guy right now, for us to look for a long-term answer at the point guard. He could become that, but so could Deuce, so could IQ, so could Roku. So I'm saying, if you're going to put somebody there, you got to have a little bit more than what we already got. Right? So as far as the Orlando guards, I think Fultz would be the most available because you got Suggs and you got Cole Anthony. And those are two young guys that are going to be long-term players in the NBA. So I don't think you're going to get those two guys. Plus, they are just as young as our guys. Right? So I don't think you're going to get a lot in the free agent market if Jalen Brunson doesn't come here. And again, there's the high percentage possibility he's not coming to New York. He's probably going to stay in Dallas. Okay? New York's going to, they're going to kick the tires. They're going to offer him. They're going to want to sit down with him, and they may get a sit down with him. But more than likely, he'll stay in Dallas. Okay? So if he stays in Dallas and our hopes were on him, what do we do next? As a point guard. Now, somebody's going to say DeJounte Murray. Maybe. But why would San Antonio let go of DeJounte Murray? Why would they do that? Like, what's the point of that? Unless he just wants to leave. Okay? Maybe he does, but I don't know why they would do that. San Antonio's not a stupid team. In fact, they're very smart. So I don't think they would just let DeJounte Murray go because somebody decided on NBA 2K he fits with the Knicks. So no, I don't think that's happening either. Let's see, DeJounte might be up for a new contract right now. No, he's got one more season. No, he's got 2 more seasons. He's got 22-23 at age 26, and he's got 23-24 at age 27. So he's got 2 more seasons left at his contract, $64 million contract he signed at 24. So he ain't going nowhere. So that's that, right? So who do you have? Who's out there that's so good? The Knicks need to go get him as the point guard. If you're talking about D'Angelo Russell, you're taking a risk. I'm not saying he won't work out, but I don't know. D'Angelo Russell's young enough to decide, I want the ball in my hands and I want the keys to the team. He's young enough. He's not going to want to be having Deuce or IQ or anybody as his heir apparent. He wants the basketball. All right. It may not be in Minnesota after what we saw this year, unless they can work out their situation there. Him and Cat get along very well. Of course, then you got Ant out there. Then you got Beasley out there. And they could use a Julius Randle power forward out there. They really could. I don't know. We'll see what happens. D'Lo is a possibility, but I want to tell you, I'm not excited about that. If we do get him, okay. I'm not sure I'm not going to get excited about that. So, to me, I think we should stick with what we got and develop what we have. Maybe they bring in a backup veteran, but we already got that in Derrick Rose, right? So I don't know, if you're trading Julius Randle, which I hope they do, you may, end up getting something back, like a backup somewhere that you could use. I don't know. But I don't see, Jalen Brunson is probably going to stay in Dallas. And he's going to get paid to stay in Dallas. And so you're going to have that going off the table. So now, again, Summer League becomes very important because you want to see what you have in Deuce McBride. You want to see what you have. You drafted the kid. I've heard a lot of people just skipping over Deuce McBride. First of all, again, let's just review this again. If an NBA team uses a draft pick on a player, they're investing in that player. And the better NBA teams, the consistent long-term winners, do not waste draft picks. So people that are saying, well, let's get rid of Deuce. I want somebody taller. You don't think the Knicks knew how tall he was when they drafted him? You don't think they measured him? You don't think they worked him out? Come on, y'all. Come on, man. In his rookie year, he's playing for Tom Thibodeau, who don't start point guard in the rookie year. And he averaged 29 and 11 in the G League. Somebody said, well, that was the G League. It's better than college. It's better than the European League. It's much rougher than them two. Okay? And he didn't just average 16 or 19. He averaged 29 and 11 in the G League when he's playing more than 35 minutes a game. Okay? At the very least, whether you believe the G League stats or not, the kid deserves a chance to play 30 plus minutes in the league. Period. Like, we don't even need to discuss anymore. He needs to play 30 plus minutes in the league to see what he got for more than just 1 or 2 games. So with the Jalen Brunson all but dead, with the Donovan Mitchell dead, with the Zion dead, we got to look at what we got. We drafted these guys. Let's see what we have. Okay? Let's see what we have. Now, Jeremy Sohan. Apparently, some cat named Greenberg, I did hear about him before. Like every year he comes out with who the Knicks should draft. I don't even remember half of them because I don't really follow him too much. But I did see this. Mark Berman and a couple of people did tell me. Greenberg said that we should draft Sohan, which makes me nervous because I don't normally agree with any mainstream media. But I have to say I agree with this. 18 years old, 6'9". Apparently now he's 6'10", because he was 18. He grew a little bit. 7-foot wingspan, guards 1 through 5, literally. Upside, all over the place. We can't say how good he's going to be in terms of a shooter because he's only 18 years old. Okay? I like this kid. I really like this kid. I want to see what happens when he works out for the Knicks. They're going to be diligent. The New York Knicks, especially since Leon come, but even before that, with Steve Mills and Scott Perry, they were diligent. They didn't always know what they were doing because they picked Kevin Knox when they shouldn't have at that spot, right? But they are diligent. And Leon, they go back in time. They look at coaches. They talk to parents. They talk to friends. They talk to teachers. They talk to assistant coaches. They talk to workout people. They really are diligent when they do their research on a player. And I think they're going to like Sohan. His mother used to play pro, and his father both played pro ball, I believe. And so I think they're going to like Sohan. So I want to see him work out. If he works out well, he's going to rise. But see, right now they got him at 16, around the 16 range. The Knicks are picking at 11. I think he will rise to about where we are. He can't get inside the top 10. And the reason I say this is because it's crowded. Right now, the top 10 is very crowded as far as the draft. It's very crowded. So especially when you've added Sharp to the mix now. You've added Shaden Sharp. And so you're talking about, so you got Holmgren, Smith, Banchero, Ivy, Griffin, Murray, Sharp, Mathurin. Now Tari Eason has risen. We talked about, Tari Eason was the first guy I talked about in January, which I said, I like this kid. And I thought he would be there, but no, he's risen into the top 10. Then you got Johnny Davis, and that's your top 10. And that's I'm looking at Tankathon. And you still got Duran, who some team's going to want a 5. We don't need one. I'm telling you, we don't need any rookie 5s. It's foul trouble all over the place. Okay, no. But then you got Dyson Daniels. Then they got Washington and Sohan at 14. Then you still got some good players. Okai Agbaji, EJ Liddell. You got some good players down the draft board there. And wait a minute. Malachi Branham. I looked at Malachi Branham. I'm not saying he a scrub, right? But what he is Karis LeVert light. He's Karis LeVert in his style play, but he doesn't have the explosiveness of Karis LeVert. He doesn't have the athleticism of Karis LeVert, and he doesn't have the height of Karis LeVert. Okay, so he's Karis LeVert light. I'm not going to take him in my top at my 11th pick. I'm sorry. No. Okay, no. Y'all got to get real with this. So no. But like I said, I like EJ Liddell. I like Okai Agbaji, and they got him now at 19. I like it, but Sohan is my guy. That's Raw's guy. I want the Knicks to take him. If we're going to stay at 11, take Sohan. That's what I want. Okay, I don't want if we're going to now. Last year, the Knicks were trying to move up to get Duarte, and I liked Duarte from the beginning of the draft process last year. He wasn't as high again at the point I liked him. And all of a sudden, he moves up, and now we couldn't get him. Right, so they tried to move up to get Duarte, but they couldn't. And I love the Don in these situations. He ain't giving away the store for nobody. I like the Don in these situations, and so I think if we're going to move up. We're not, the Knicks have what is the deal here? The Knicks have a 9.4% chance to get into the top 4. They have a 2% chance to get the number 1 overall. Now, anything is possible, but come on, the odds are against us, right? Like, for example, the team ahead of us, Washington, they got almost a 14% chance to get in the top 4. San Antonio's got a 20% chance to get in the top 4. So the odds are against us. more than likely we're going to pick at 11. And if we pick at 11, give me Sohan. I want Sohan at 11. Let's do that. Okay. And the Don could work out some deal if he's not, if he's projected to go 14, Don will pick up another pick and make a trade and get Sohan anyway. So, that's that. But that's our guy in the draft. I like Sohan. I really want that kid. Now, on the Memphis deal, the playoffs, right? Y'all seeing what I'm seeing, right? You understand that Memphis could play with Golden State. Some of y'all understand that yet? Memphis could play with them. And let me tell you something you know what? This game 3 in San Francisco, very important for Golden State. If they lose that game, if Golden State loses Saturday night, it's going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem. If Memphis walks into San Francisco and beats them, there's going to be a problem. Okay? I'm just telling you right now. It's going to be a problem. And that's all I'm going to say on it. That's all I'm going to say on it. They better win. That is your Golden State Warriors. Dub Nation, your team better win Saturday night. And y'all going to have a problem if Adams is off a health and safety protocol. Y'all going to have a problem. We'll see. We'll see what happens Saturday night in San Francisco. Yeah, we're going to see what happens. But, okay, so it looks like the Jalen Brunson situation is dead. D'Angelo Russell is probably going to be the next emphasis in the media because he's expiring and he's having trouble in Minnesota. And, yeah, there's issues. And this is the second stop for him to have issues. He had issues on his first deal. The Lakers drafted him 2 overall, and there were issues, maturity issues. But he was young, so everybody kind of said, okay, no problem. So the Lakers sent him to Brooklyn, where under Kenny Atkinson, he developed into an all-star level Eastern Conference player. Then, in getting Kevin Durant, the Warriors took D'Angelo Russell. That's when he got the $150 million deal, which this coming season is expiring. Okay. So now you have that. And then he ended up going to Minnesota for Andrew Wiggins, which is why he ended up there. The guy's been on the move a bit. Now, I'm not, as far as the positives for D'Lo is a big game player. D'Lo is a Madison Square Garden under the spotlight type of dude. That's him. He would shine under the Madison Square lights. But don't look for no defense from him. And did y'all see the defense, the weak defense that was played from the point guard spot with Burks, right? I mean, he tried, but he just, D'Lo's worse. D'Lo's worse defense than Burks. I'm trying to tell y'all. See, y'all like to look at the highlights of him doing work, right? You got to look at the lowlights too. Okay? And think about that at Madison Square Garden. You see Julius Randle's sometime defense, and that's D'Lo. Okay, I'm just telling y'all. That's D'Lo. All right? So think about that before y'all stop hyping D'Lo. Now, again, if we got him, he fits salary-wise, and he is expiring, but that doesn't mean... I don't know how that's going to work with Tom Thibodeau. I really don't know. You might have all kind of problems if Tibbs decides he can't play defense good enough like he did with Kemba, and then he sits him. I don't know. So go with our kids. Let's just go with what we got and move forward with the 3 kids we got. This is a good year for Roku to come up. This is a good year for him to come up. I don't know what they're going to do with Derrick Rose. They have to get rid of some veterans. They definitely do to open up minutes for the kids, especially 3 starters, Burks, Fournier, and Randall. Boom, they got to go. And you got Obi, IQ, and Grimes coming in those spots unless they wise up and give it to Deuce like they should. But we'll see. That's what I'm saying. But anyway, that's me for today. JB is dead. I think I'm looking past the JB thing. I think we're done with Brunson. He's not coming to New York. Mitchell's not coming to New York. And of course, Zion isn't coming to New York. That's not happening. So all of the hype is just for clicks. Not coming. They're not coming. All right. You got what you got. Let's look at our youth and develop. Do the right thing. Develop. Get Sohan in the draft. Bring him in behind Obi. Let's do what we do. Okay, let's do the development, long-term sustainable winning in New York. Sure.